All right, we got the crypto market update live. We're going to wait a few more moments just so people within the Discord can read the post and then actually come into the video, ask some questions, engage, all that good stuff. So we will wait a few more moments just so people are aware that we are live, and then we'll get right into it. Like yesterday's video, we are going to be trying to create shorter videos for our crypto market and global macro updates. Before, they were well over 1 hour basically every single weekday, which works for me. I'm going to be doing this analysis anyways for myself, but it's just how much attention can you really be holding for people unless you're extremely interested in trading. So less ideal for novice traders just getting in, so we're going to shorten up the time for the videos. So that's going to be the main thing that we're going to be changing here for the next little bit. But hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully it's a little bit more condensed. It's a little bit more digestible. And then you're able to get snippets or little golden nuggets of value from the videos that we do provide. So mainly just really going to be talking about BTC for today, as well as alts and crypto generally, but not really going to be diving into any of the equities or metals. Metals absolutely blew through the roof. We did not get our retest, so we did not enter. Very simple as that. It happens even if you find a really good setup. Might not be able to get an entry. I got pretty strict entry level criteria. I don't just randomly market enter when I think it's breaking out. It's not really the right way to do it. I need a retest, I need validation, and that's what I'm looking for. If I don't get it, I don't enter, and that does save me from a lot of not so great entries as well. So it's not all negative. You do have to have a system that allows you to be somewhat flexible, but then also keep you doing the same thing over and over and over, because that is the name of the game in trading. Is you want to find a system and then rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So I think we're gonna get this going here. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. But without further ado, let's get a recorder. And get this show on the road. Alright, PC sound, don't need that, just the microphone today. Gonna be looking at the second monitor. Hey there traders, welcome to another crypto market update. We're going to be condensing these videos a little bit, trying to get it a little bit shorter, a little bit easier to understand and easier to follow. So we're going to be just talking about crypto for today. Like always, we do want to start off with Bitcoin. It is the most important thing to be looking at within the overall crypto market, in my personal opinion, with some of the tools that we're going to be going over coming second. So let's go back to the large time frames. We always like to do our top-down analysis, and we're just looking for key levels of resistance that we could be hitting. We just exited out of this tight range of consolidation where we were contracting in volatility. After the contraction and volatility, we're going to get expansions in volatility. The two previous times we've had this was in March of 2019 and then October/November of 2018, where we have contractions in volatility. And the expansion phase lasted for quite a while. We went from 6.2, 6.5, all the way down to 3,200. And then we went from 4.2 or 4.1 all the way to 14K. So we were starting the expansion point at, let's say, 97 or let's say even 10K. And I think that the expansion to the upside is still going to continue. So my bias is still bullish for Bitcoin on the weekly chart. We're currently right at a key level on the weekly. We can see previous key levels of candle closures at around 11.5, 11.9, somewhere around there for the supply zone. We'll dive into it in the smaller time frames. Also, the psychological zone of 12K is very important. And then if we're able to pass that zone, keeping along the trend, we do see that the next zone is going to be around 13.5, 13.3, somewhere around there, where the next key level of resistance is going to be. So that's going to be what the large term time frames are telling us. It's in an impulsive push, but I do think this impulsive push is going to continue. Let's now go into the smaller time frames here. So let's go to the daily chart, and then we'll jump right in here and understand that we got big retests. So that 10.4-ish K range is a very key level. As we can see, key level of resistance, 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 turn into new level of support. So that right there is now a validation that this is now a new level of support, in my personal opinion. Because we see a resistance right there. Let's go like this. And now turned into that zone there. So it's really good to see, really happy about that. Let's just make that a little bit brighter and make this a little bit brighter as well. And that's going to be the validation. So now we have validated. It would be nice to see some squeeze, but you're not always going to get that. Similar to, excuse me, similar to what we had back over here, where we had that tiny contraction, and then this ascending wedge, where you got a series of higher highs and higher lows, but you're getting this slow grinding up pattern. But you're also getting these pretty sharp sell-offs, and that's kind of what it reminds me of right now, where we're getting a sharp sell-off, but we're still able to hold a series of higher lows. When we go into a smaller time frame, we'll be able to identify that a little bit more clear, but the fact that we broke above 11.4 was very significant in my personal opinion. So when we go into the smaller time frames, we can see that there's big wick right here, rejecting down. But like we saw in the previous move from the 4.1K to 14K, even though there's a big sell-off, the fact that we're able to hold this zone suggests that buyers are present and are willing to hold the price and are anticipating that they're going to sell it for a higher point at a later date. So my view is still bullish. Don't really have an ascending zone right now. We just passed 10.4. So if we are looking at a possible entry point for a retest, we'd be looking for this zone right around here, because we see is a very strong level of resistance as well as here. I was a little bit actually worried that there could be a head and shoulders, where you get the head right here and then you get the left shoulder and right shoulder, but that break of the 11.4K zone right there definitely invalidates the head and shoulders. So now a nice entry, in my opinion, would be a possible retest of this 11.4K zone, and that would be a possible place where we'd be looking for an entry. So that's just from the 6-hour time frame. Let's jump into a smaller time frame. At this point in time, I don't really want to be looking for a breakout entry. I think we'll potentially make a lower high at some point and then form a symmetrical triangle, where then I would be looking for an entry. But as of right now, I wouldn't want to be looking to enter. Either I am looking to enter at the bottom of here, and then even if I do get that lower high to squeeze me, I have basically a stop loss that's now going to break even or a little bit higher, so I'm not really going to be risking that much, which is great. Whereas if I enter right now, I don't really have that option. Or if I squeeze, then obviously you're looking for a nice rejection and then a retest after it breaks of that, a break of that zone. That would be the ideal situation to find ourselves in for BTC. All right, so let's now go on to the next tool that we're going to be looking at here. Let's zoom out. Broke in the Australian dollar, broken retested in Japanese yen for a key zone, and then as well as euro. So very bullish when you're comparing Bitcoin with other major currencies. Just wanted to illustrate that as well. So let's go to the altcoin market analysis. So we're going to first look at the total 2, which is the total altcoin market cap. So this is everything, every coin added up excluding BTC. This is including Ethereum as well. And we can see we absolutely blasted off the recent high there, the swing high, and then we are very, very volatile in this candle, but overall we're making a move to the upside, and then we're now testing this next zone, which is this high right around here. We see wicks to the upside. So overall altcoin market cap is moving to the upside, so we want to be looking for longs in alts, in my personal belief. We don't want to be looking for shorts in alts, we want to be looking for longs. Let's take a quick look at the BTC dominance. So it's moved up a little bit. We are looking at the 2-day, but we do see lots of sell pressure or sell activity. Lots of wicks right there. Obviously, there's this massive wick right here, which is a little bit off. I'm sure one coin absolutely blew through the roof and then came back. That's why we have this big sharp drop and then a rally back up. But overall, you do see dominance starting to weaken for BTC, which is really good. Ideally, you're wanting to see something along the lines of that, where you see a weakening in the dominance for Bitcoin, and that would be an indication that there is capital flowing from Bitcoin into more speculative, more I would say risky alts that do provide a higher ROI. So then you're able to get more risk reward bang for your buck if you are correct. So we'll see where that goes. It'd be nice if it goes to the downside. We'll be looking for alts, but if it starts to recover, and this is going to be the main zone of resistance I want to see hold for a continuation to the downside. And then if we start trading above it, I want to be really paying close attention to this key zone, this descending resistance, because we do still see that this is a descending wedge, right? So that could theoretically bring you, even if we're going to consolidate a lot more right here, we do see that there could be a possibility of BTC dominance still rallying to the upside, which would probably mean that we're going to have somewhat of a not a massive sell-off, but usually when cryptos don't do well, you see alts fall a lot quicker than BTC. So Bitcoin would be taking more of the dominance for the market share. Quick look at the BTC dominance. We're now just in the regular range. We were below 450. That was that key zone that we wanted to make sure that we knew where it was. So let's just go like that. And we're well above that zone. So it does look like we're increasing volatility, but we don't really have much of an edge trading it unless we're in the low volatile time like we see right here. At that point, you know that there is a move coming, and it's probably going to be an expansionary point where it's going to continue further than the average move, like we saw in October/November of 2018, and like we saw in spring of 2019. And now we saw that back in July of 2020, and then we saw that big move that we're currently still in. So I think that the bullishness is still present in the market, and it's going to continue. That's going to be my bias I have. All right, so let's now go, not a whole lot to talk about in CME futures here. Let's quickly look at some relative strength and weakness, just to understand what else have been doing well, what hasn't been doing well, sorry. Gonna get a little bit of water, and then we'll jump right in. All right, so obviously, definitely there's an outlier here. Let's just kind of zoom in and out and see if there's any huge outliers. The left side, I am comparing everything to Bitcoin, and then the right side, I'm comparing everything to USDT. So against Bitcoin, there's a lot of things going down, making sense because Bitcoin is taking more of the market share. Kind of could mean that we could see more money flowing into Bitcoin, so then we should be looking at Bitcoin instead of alts in the short term. But we don't really see that many alts really fly. One that did well recently was Link, although it is kind of falling to the downside. SXP can do well, but it's super volatile, so just be careful. And then the rest of them are just kind of in the middle, not doing a whole lot. We see ZEC do decently well so far. This one is, I lost it. This one's VeChain. So we talked about that within our Discord as well. So we do talk about these within our Discord for people who do want more of a up-to-date analysis on altcoins. Link's doing the best when you're comparing just to USDT. VeChain's doing pretty well. ZEC's doing well. BNB's doing well. And we're going to cover all those today. So let's look at Ethereum right now. I do think Ethereum looks pretty bullish, and we'll discuss why. Let's go to a daily chart. I know we just had a massive push and then a huge increase in volatility. We didn't break below the previous low. That's that previous low. We were able to hold well above that zone. Really great to see. Let's go even to the weekly, just so we have an understanding. Oh, I do not have that. Okay, let's stick to a smaller time frame. So we had a massive, let's just think about market cycles, we had a push, correction, push, and this is a correction, right? But look at the correction. Look at the amount of buyers they were to fill that whole space there. It's not like we closed somewhere around there. We went all the way down, which was a really sharp, aggressive sell-off, but we held this previous low right here before that massive push to the upside. So we can see where was the previous resistance before the absolute pumping of the price. Right around here, right? Before that, we were trending up, down, up, down, up. But then after that point, massive move to the upside. But we held that zone. Previous key level of resistance, new level of support. That's really good to see. So right now, my key level of support is going to be around 360. So let's put that right around there. And then we can see it did squeeze a little bit. This isn't great to see because it kind of looks like it's topping. But then let's just get a snip because we do like to use this a little bit better. So I don't love the topping a little bit there because you saw that and then you saw this. And if it starts to go like that, that's really not a good sign. But if we are able to get a squeeze like so, and then you saw a horizontal zone, so then it started going like this, started weakening from an uptrend into kind of a consolidation. Then you saw a descending zone and a horizontal zone turn into a descending triangle formation. So then you had a descending triangle formation, which then broke to the upside. And then you're looking for not only the descending triangle to break, but also looking for the horizontal level of resistance, which is market structure, to break. And that's what we saw right here. We saw this descending zone, hold, but then we saw this area where we were consolidating. We did break the descending zone, but we're still consolidating below the market structure. We broke above it, major push, impulsive push to the upside, and then we got our consolidation and our pullback to validate this previous key level of resistance as a new level of support. And now it looks like we're making a move to the upside. So we got a resistance there and a key level of support right there. So we're now in a high base pattern, which is a base, which is just a series of lows and highs that are not able to make a higher high or a lower low. So it's consolidating in a bullish trend. That is a high base, and then a low base would be your trading and trending to the downside. And then you see a support, you trade just above that zone for a little while, consolidating, forming a sideways channel, and then you break to the downside again. That would be a low base. So let's go to a smaller time frame and look at what we're able to understand here. So this is, yes, a base. We've already clarified that. But what we're actually seeing right now is from a base, we do see we're now getting an even greater ascending zone, which is creating an ascending triangle formation, squeezing the price towards this key level of supply. So it does look like the buyers are still present and are looking to keep the pressure on the sellers, which is good to see if you're long or if you're an investor. So what we're looking for at this point is something very similar to what we saw right here, right? We saw a break and retest of that zone, and we're looking for something very similar. So let's go something maybe like this. Something like that. Once you get that, that would be a really good opportunity in my personal opinion, and then we'd be looking for something, ideally, obviously something like that. It's not always going to happen, but that would be the perfect situation for us to find. And then you could look for targets in your own specific way. For me, if I was trading this, this would be my first target right around here, just because it's the ascending triangle formation. And then you look for the breakout zone right there. So that would be your possible first level right there. And then if you really want to get big, that would be your second level right there, because you do see that's a key validation. And you saw a break right there, so then that would be where you put your break right there. And then previous resistance, new level of support. So then the next target may be like 428. So some pretty big targets, but I do think that momentum is going to continue to the upside. So I'm going to be looking for continuation patterns for, actually I'll leave those. I'll take this off. I'll take this off. I'll put that there, and I'll put that there. So that is the structure that I'd like to see on Ethereum. So break and retest of 401, 400, 401 would be really nice to see, and we can see if we're just taking it back a little bit. Very well respected zone. All right, so that's going to be Ethereum. Let's now go on to a different chart here. Christian says, are altcoins worth buying and holding or trading them as CDFs? So I don't trade CDFs for altcoins. There's like different options. You could just trade Binance on margin. You could trade Binance futures. I've been getting into the futures just because the orders are a little bit easier. You have more options in regard to the leverage. You can like do like halves, so it just makes it easier. But in terms of buying to invest worth buying to trade, I would think there's some altcoins that I think that are definitely worth the investment. I think that Ethereum has been doing absolutely awesome, and I think will continue to do absolutely awesome in the crypto bull run. And I also think that BTC is a must hold. Chainlink, I also said, and BNB is also really good opportunities in my opinion, but those are opportunities that I think are holds for me for like a couple years, I would say, a few years. But I still have the option to trade. So I'm doing both. Doesn't mean that you can only do one or the other if you are deciding to either invest or trade, depending also on how much time you want to commit and the level of activity that you want to be giving to trading, investing, and all that, because it's definitely time consuming trying to get this understand it, or like if you're new to it, depends on the level of knowledge you have. If you are really well aware and understand financial markets, it's not going to take that much, but then if you have no idea, you got to learn it and then keep up with it, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging for people to stick with it. So I'd say both to give you an answer. All right, next thing we're going to talk about Binance Coin. I definitely am bullish on Binance Coin. So we saw Binance Coin do pretty well. It recovered. This is that huge sell-off, right? Look how much higher it is compared to a lot of these other alts that we're looking at. So Binance Coin is relatively strong right now in relation to the sell-off that we had back on August 1st. And just zoom out here. I'm just reading a comment. Christian says, already given 2 years to Forex. What's few more? Lol, thanks, man. Yeah, very true. Like in Forex, you wouldn't invest ever. Like in my opinion, you'd never invest in a currency, but you'd invest in cryptocurrencies. So it might be a little bit different in that regard, but I know what you mean. So let's go in a smaller time frame here after we understand the daily. So obviously this big area right here, something that we'll want to keep an eye on for Binance Coin. But we have a lot of space before we get there, right? Even on the weekly, you can see that's a very major level as well. Previous all-time high, very, very strong level at around $24, $25. So we got a little bit of time before we're going to get there. And we're in an obvious huge bull run or bullish push to the upside. Kind of getting to a key level of resistance, but I still think that we're in the impulsive push to the upside. And this nice squeeze, symmetrical triangle, well above the previous high, definitely suggests that we could be seeing another impulsive push if this symmetrical triangle does break to the upside. So that's what I see on BNB. Don't really have more to talk about on that, just because it's a very simple structure that we're looking for. Break and retest of major structural zone, major structural high, 23.4, 23.3, somewhere around there. All right. So I'm going to quickly just change a stop loss very quickly, and then we're going to jump into a different altcoin. Also, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the comment section below, and we'll be sure to help you out. Okay. So that is complete. We're now going to go into a different time or a different alt altogether. So that'd be something to be looking at. Also, I just want to quickly see if this hit target or not. Just to know. Oh, definitely, by far. Okay, cool. So that's going to be the first couple. We're now going to go into XRP right here. SXP, we're not really going to touch on. Cardano, we're definitely going to look at. And then Kyber Network has not been doing super well, but we'll talk about it. It's at a pretty key zone, so we're going to discuss what we see in the market. So let's first look at XRP. Now, it's not absolutely perfect. It'd be nice if this rejection was a little bit higher, so I'm not going to be absolutely precise with this. But we do see a squeeze, right? Series of lower highs. And then you do see that 29-cent range hold as a very strong level of support. And this 30-cent range is very, very significant. Let's just go like this and close off all that. Let's go to the weekly. And we're like right in a major, major level, which is right here. Can we see that right there? 30-cent range, key level of support turned to resistance, major rejection resistance. So on XRP, we're right near a very, very significant level, or right below it, which isn't absolutely phenomenal. If you are looking for longs, we see lots of rejections. We see some hesitation. We see a big, big doji candle. No crazy morning stars or shooting stars or anything that's going to be giving me an immense amount of worry that there's going to be a shit ton of sellers coming in. But I definitely have to keep that in mind, that there's a lot of sell pressure that we've seen in the past around this zone. So going on to a smaller time frame. Like I said, descending triangle formation, series of lower highs, and we do see a support get held. It'd be nice to see maybe an ascending support similar to this. That would be something nice to see. But I think that would have to warrant another higher low, and then a breakout, a retest, and then a move to the upside. So if we are looking for an example, let's just look at that. Kind of like that, yes. Yeah, like that. That would be really nice to see. Let's see, you get some volatility there, and you get a pullback, higher low, break to the upside, previous level of resistance turn into new level of support, and then you get your squeeze, and you see the nice trend continue to the upside. So that's what I'll be looking for on XRP. It'd be really nice to see, but we'll see how it goes. That's the 2 hour, so we definitely got a little bit of time before that's going to play out. We can look at Kyber Network, KNC, just because it's at a very strong level of support here. We see this very, very long, drawn-out consolidation. Well, we've finally broken above that. So when we go on to the 4 hour chart, we can see this very, very long consolidation has now finally broken out right here from a key level of resistance. And I think it's now going to turn into a nice new level of support right around here. So the bias is there's buyers around this level, and they're squeezing towards the key level of demand, and we're going to get an expansion point at some point towards the upside. So let's now go into a smaller time frame. We did see a descending wedge formation that didn't really break out. It could still be coiling, deepening its contraction in volatility, but we did not get the reaction we initially thought that we would for this particular pair. So we do go into the smaller time frames. We see 1, 2, not really precise because I'd like to see 3 validations of a zone when I've only seen 2. So that wasn't a perfectly precise, well-respected zone. I'm just going to see if this is going to work. Probably not. No, not absolutely. Yeah. I think that's going to have to do though. So that's the current resistance right now. It could very well change. It's not super respected. And this is the current high that we need to break in order for us to even think about potentially even entering. And then we'll just put a projection there as well, just to illustrate that this is a zone and not just one little area within the chart for the line. Awesome. So that's going to be the structure for Kyber Network. What do we need to see? We need to see a break and retest and a validation of that previous zone turned into a new level of support. So something like this. We want to see, let's say, the price just starts to trend up a little bit, like that. And then you get a break of this resistance zone turned into a new level of support. And then hopefully by that time, this squeeze has completed, and then you're going to get that move to the upside that you're hopefully going to see. So that's going to be KNC. Hopefully that comes into fruition. We got a few things before that can actually come into play, but we'll see where it goes from here. Cosmos is doing pretty well. It was in a long, really long symmetrical triangle, and it could look like it's slowly going to pull up. It'd be really unfortunate if we saw a move to the downside, because then that would basically mean that we're going to contract deeper into it, or it could actually fall and we can get something like this where it's going to be like a descending wedge. That wouldn't be great, because then you could be something like this. You could draw a wedge and then you get a recovery and then you're going to get something like this. That would be pretty decent to see. That would be option number 1 for a long. Option number 2 for a long would be if it holds this previous resistance new level of support. It starts trending up, maybe forming an ascending zone, and you get a break, and then you get a break, and then you start trending to the upside. You want to see the break and retest of that zone ideally. So let's look at an example of what we could see here. So let's get this guy. I know obviously every trader wants to have this happen. It's not always going to happen. But that would be something that we're looking to have happen, right? Break, holding of that zone, retest of that previous resistance into a new level of support, could widen it a little bit, and then you want to see that next solid impulsive push to the upside. That is the ideal situation that you want to find yourself in for Cardano, in my opinion. We didn't put a template there, but that's around 0.149 is going to be the key level that I'd like to see the price break above before I even look for any opportunities. All right. Now we do see a little squeeze occurring and some basing. That actually doesn't look too bad. Right there. And then if we're looking at the 15-minute chart, and then we're going to go to the projection. And this is that major recent high. Looks like it just broke out of it, to be honest. This might be something that I'm interested in. Okay, well, I'll look at that. That's Cardano. Just a small little day trade, but looking at it like that, you could be hitting that next high there where you have key levels of resistance. So pretty decent risk rewards if you are looking at it in a very short-term day trade. If you put a stop entry above there, or a limit entry, stop loss below the previous zone, could be looking at a 2 risk reward at a minimum. And then if you're looking for a limit entry, it's a very, very high risk reward compared to a stop entry. All right, so that's going to be the analysis on Cardano. Hopefully we'll see that come into fruition. Next thing we're going to be looking at is VeChain and some of the other alts here that have been doing relatively well. Not really going to look at SXP because it has not been performing super well. It's just been kind of bouncing up and down, not a whole lot to see. So let's go to the next thing, next page, and here's VeChain. Also, we did talk about Link's unbelievable opportunity at 5.8% risk reward, or 5.8 risk reward. And while I was making this video, I did not check this out. So we actually talked about this literally entering right there. Let's just get our Discord and say about VeChain. So this happened at 112 and it's 147 right now. This exact chart saying breaking above this zone would be a really good opportunity, and look what happened. This is that zone right there on that 15. That's that entry that you would have been taking. Stop loss or to break even would have been a great possible opportunity, but that's okay. It happens. I am in another trade, so it's not really the end of the world. But that would be a nice entry. So let's now go into a large time frame, discuss why we thought that was a good entry to start with. So VeChain has been doing very, very well. Massive push to the upside, very well respected descending triangle formation, retest of the key structural zone, acting as a new level of support. We're looking for squeezes against this key level of demand, and that's what we're seeing right now. So at this point, we're looking for entries on VeChain. Ideally, we were looking for an entry right there, but we'll see where it goes. The next major zone would be maybe a retest there. I wouldn't want that ideally. If we do come back to that zone around there, that'd be a really good opportunity for a possible entry, but that's where I'm going to be looking to enter, right around there, if it does give it to me. If not, if it continues going up, you could have a break and retest of this zone right here, but like I said, that would be the zone to get if you have the option, if it brings it back to you. All right, so that's going to be VeChain. Overall bullish. If you're looking at the 6 hour, you know, target's way up there. So we got a lot of room to go on VeChain here, in my opinion. All right, let's look at Link. So Link's in a very similar situation. We had a nice descending trend line that connected the lower highs. We did also have this horizontal zone in confluence with this ascending zone, creating a level of demand at around 9.37. And we entered right there, notifying our Discord. Pull them back a little bit. But I did move that stop loss just a little bit further down, or further up, I should say. So I'm going to just change this one moment. I'm going to put it to break even. Not my holder, just an order that I added on at a later point. So give me one moment here. All right, cool. So now we did that. Let's go on to the comments here. I'm just going to make sure that there's no new comments. So it looks very similar to VeChain in short, right? We see this was a triangle. This is a triangle break from an impulsive move, a pullback validating the previous resistance as a new level of support, And now we're just waiting to see if we're going to get an impulsive move to the upside. That's basically what we're going to be looking for today. Don't really need to show you anything else. Zcash has been doing well, but I don't really love the overall price action. And Cosmos is not really something to talk about either because it just hasn't really been doing super well. I don't love the price action, so I'd rather just kind of stay away from it. So if we are really looking at a small time frame, as long as it's going to be holding above this zone, I'm very all right with it. If it starts breaking above this zone and starts trending back down, that could mean that we're going to get something like this. Ideally, it would hold this level of support, but if it starts giving me something like that, I don't love that. But that would be a big if. I just want to see it hold above this previous resistance as a new level of support and then continue the trend upwards. That would be, in my opinion, a really good thing for Link. Well, at least for my trade anyways. For shorts, definitely not a good thing, but why would you be shorting Link at this point is the question I have for anyone shorting Link. So that's going to be the overall crypto market update. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below now. And if you enjoyed it, think about potentially giving it a thumbs up. And subscribe if you would like more videos like this. Don't really have much more to add. Hopefully you got some value from this. Hopefully it wasn't too difficult, or it was very easy to understand and it was digestible in terms of the information I'm trying to provide here. So hopefully you're having a good trading week. I definitely am. It's looking pretty good. Also been doing well. A lot of continuation patterns. The rest of the market has been doing kind of not so much. Gold and silver have been doing really well. I unfortunately did not catch the entry on gold just because it didn't give it to me. I wanted a little bit deeper of a pullback, and when it doesn't give me an entry, I don't go and chase. I'll just wait for another opportunity. I trade multiple assets, so it's not, or asset classes, so it's not like I'm tied to one trade, and if the trade doesn't go and work out, I'm screwed. There's always opportunities in the markets, And the only way you can kind of understand that is just by missing a lot of them, basically. If you're sleeping, if you are hanging out with your friends or family, or going on a nice date with a significant other or whatever, life happens. You're not going to be sitting in front of your phone or the charts your entire life. It's not really a life worth living. So you got to be able to understand that you're not going to get every single trade. And gold, this current move was one of those trades where I really was talking about it. I was looking at it. I had the target. I had everything in place, and I just did not pull the trigger because I did not get an entry for a signal. Or a signal for an error. I did not get an entry signal for me to enter. And this is the retest zone. 1993 is that zone that I was looking to enter. Right? Did not give me any retest, zero. So I just could not. A little bit lower would have been good, like 1998, but that was the main zone that I wanted to see. And look at where it hit. Literally perfectly to target 2050. Would have been such an awesome trade, but you're not going to get every single one. So if I had the entry there, depending on how the pullback is and everything, I don't exactly know because it didn't happen. You could be looking, even if you're going to be super conservative and put the stop loss well below a major pullback level, you're still looking at a 2.2, 2.77, 2.5, which is a decent RR trade. So that was the option for gold that I had. Fortunately, didn't work out, but yeah, it's absolutely running, man. Absolutely running. If you're not looking at gold and silver, I don't know what you're doing, because I think that gold and silver is something to be paying attention to say the least. To say very the least. Because these things are honestly unbelievable in terms of how they're set up and how they... I love trading gold and silver. Let's just say that. Don't really have much more to add on that. So, Christian says, thanks, Keith. Always appreciate your analysis. Yeah, no problem. That's I enjoy doing them as well, and I really appreciate that you think so too. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully everyone has a good rest of the trading week. And until next time, have a good one.